So we'll make this less formal, but I will talk about how small spaces we can transform them and enhance spatial quality through gardening. And this is an image that I took recently. So when we started our gardening, our idea was because we are grad students and we're poor people in the United States. So how can we keep it the lowest possible cost and we can make maximum of the garden? So the idea was to try and recycle a lot of the plastic containers that we usually throw away, and also try to reuse the vegetable scraps. So most of our plants were actually grown from store-bought vegetables that we were eating. So those were the two ideas. We were worried about the aesthetics of these kind of setup. You can see it looks terribly ugly. They're just milk containers sitting there. And we also collected some of those from our neighbors because we weren't, we didn't have a collection of these many containers. So the idea was to give them a life and give these dead things lives. But we were worried about the looks, how they might look, how might they turn out. But we did have faith in the aesthetics of being able to put life into something that would probably end up in a landfill and increase non-decomposable waste. So that's what we trusted. I know those of you have gardened here in the North America. Most of you have used the potting mix. Most of them are from Miracle-Gro, and they might cost a lot, sometimes like $15 to $20 a bag, which really, really limits the amount of container gardening you can do, because especially if you are not earning a lot, $15 a bag or $20 a bag might sound like a lot. So we thought of buying the cheapest possible dirt that's available, and they're like $2 to $3 a bag. And we were trying to compare them with, why is it $15? Why is this just $2? And we did see that it did lack a lot of nutrition. It did lack a lot of the qualities that the big bags do. So we did try and incorporate those kind of things into our cheap soil. And that did take up time, but it is possible to try and keep your cost low so you can plant more. We added vegetable scraps, domestic scraps. We added coffee grounds to provide more nitrogen. And we tried to cure those dirt before I used them for planting. And this is like an image of me doing all that thing. It was fun. It was messy, it was muddy, but it was fun. And I'll go into a little bit of details because the $15 bag contains a great ratio of NPK. So you probably don't need to fertilize them as much, or your plants don't get stunned in the way, which was a big struggle with this cheap dirt. So with nitrogen, you get the right growth and foliage. With phosphorus, you get more bloom and fruit. And with potassium, you get like bigger fruits and more turgidity of the plants. So it's very important, like when you apply what. So if you're applying nitrogen when your plant is supposed to actually bloom and give you fruits, that's probably a wrong thing you're doing. So giving them stages, and I can show you the stages of my tomato plants. Like I was providing nitrogen when they were that small, and then they got bigger, and I shifted from that fertilizer to other fertilizers. Then I'll just show you some fun images of how they looked. We did start late. Usually it's good to start in a zone 5. It's good to start around March, early March or mid-March, but we did start at May, which is pretty late, but still we were able to get pretty good yield. Even with that cheap dirt, even though we used domestic scraps for fertilizing, even though we did get the seeds from, from the vegetables we eat, they still gave us pretty good yield. So it is possible, it is still possible to not like spend a lot of money into your garden, but still get a lot of green into your garden. So this is like a morning glory plant. We had 6 plants, and this is how it looks in August. Some more beautiful blooms, and we're still getting them. They're there every day. This is what zinnia looks like from May to August 2020. You can look at the kind of dirt that we had. It looked very compact, so adding some coffee grounds to it kind of like, you know, made them more fluffy. Coffee has water repelling properties, so instead of having cocoa peat, we drink a lot of coffee, so we added those, and they did give a great yield. These are the like blooms that we got, and I think they're great.
They look beautiful.
This is what squash looks like. So I was really worried, like squash is a huge plant. It's probably not gonna grow. It's probably not gonna give us anything in the end, but I still like, you know, hung on to it. I was like, okay, if it doesn't give us any fruit, but it'll still give us leaves and blooms. So we'll just eat that. We'll eat whatever it gives. But I was surprised. So that's like me with the blooms and leaves. But I was surprised when they gave us this. We got a lot of fruit. We got one spaghetti squash. We got the butternut squash, and on the right corner we have this little one that's coming up. That's the most recent one.
Very beautiful.
This is a very nice variety of basil. This is not the regular basil. It smells a little bit like tulsi, if you are, you know, familiar with tulsi, but it is a basil and it makes amazing garnishes. You can drink tea with it. It's a great addition to your garden. And see how that Walmart bag there looks, how terrible it looks when you first plant it, but when your plant actually grows up and it takes over that ugly Walmart bag, it actually looks pretty beautiful. So, you know, having trust into that aesthetic of trying to use your everyday thing is okay. It still helps you transform your space.
That's a wonderful point, actually.
So yeah, this is tomatillo. This is what it looked like in May 2020. In August 2020, I think I have more than 25 to 30 tomatillos in all my plants. So I am very happy because I actually implemented so low into this garden, but it still gave out so much. I'll go back to what Adia had to say, like, you know, trying to get native plants. If you do get native plants, not only does it like help your environment, but it also actually gives you good yield. Like if I had a foreign plant here, like my mango tree, it would probably not give me as much yield as a tomatillo would. So I think it's not a good idea to get your plants from India or to get your plants from like other South Asian countries and trying to plant them here to get more yield, while you can just make most of what's available here. And we have been able to attract a few monarch butterflies. If you're from Illinois, you would probably know that monarch butterflies are like something that the environment has been trying to replenish because it is native here. And the more native plants you will plant, you will definitely get a lot more of them. You will contribute in your own way, even though it's just a small space. So that's my tomato plants. They look bushy, they're yieldy, they're great. That's tomatoes. They're beginning to ripen now. This is taken probably a month ago. So yeah, they're doing very well. This is my favorite. Like I am all about mint. We can make them in chutneys. We can have them in smoothies, everything. And they're very good. The reason I'm highlighting this guy is because I am gonna continue to grow it throughout the winter. And it is one of those plants that you can bring in and it will continue to grow without a grow light, without extra supplements. So why not? If you still want to keep some green during these barren, like, you know, months, mint is great. So this is just some, you know, snippets from my garden. This is crooked yellow squash. It didn't give out a lot of fruit, mainly because I was using very small pot for these, but it still gave us a lot of leaves, a lot of flowers, and both of them are edible. They did great. So this is what I mean when I say transforming spatial quality. Like this is May 2020, ugly containers, ugly cans sitting there, barren. And this is what it looks like in August 2020. So all of those are gone. Somehow aesthetics overtaken by the plants. And they changed our lives. I mean, it gave us a purpose during this lockdown because we were staying home. We weren't going outdoors. We didn't know what to do. We were looking at these plants every day. And, even that inch of growth was, okay, tomorrow it will happen. Tomorrow it will happen. So yeah, it gave us a great sense of life. So even though it's a very small space and it's a very small investment, it does great to your life. It's a very meaningful addition. And that's the view we get. It's a $15 view. It does great. And we are very sad that it's gonna go away in the winter, but I will try to keep up with some of the herbs and follow up with some of you sometimes, maybe how they go in the winter. Yeah, so it's been doing great.
Yes. Thank you so much, Yasna. I really wanted to